if they're using a standard that doesn't align with you on a biological level, everything's going to be inaccurate.
That means you twice as sick
Yeah, man.
already. Even if you're normal. If you're normal, that means you twice as sick already. But that's the reason why here we get blood work. We do comprehensive metabolic panels. We do CBCs. We do WBCs. You know, we do mineral charts. We do genetic testing. We do all of that here in my clinic here. But, you know, even though they got the standard of care, because I'm not a practicing doctor, you know what I'm saying? I'm a professor. I'm a doctor of philosophy. You know, here is I do private practice here. This is a private indigenous practice that we do here. We read the blood work in a total different way based off of who you are. And look, for instance, right? And this is textbooks, man. In the late 60s, did you know that normal cholesterol was 300? Normal total cholesterol and HDL, LDL cholesterol, you was normal and considered healthy if it was at 300. Do you realize if you take your ass to the doctor right now and you read 300, they gonna say heart attack and stroke is waiting to happen. Let me put you on a statin drug immediately. But why in the late 60s, 300 was normal? So now you have this big cholesterol myth that everybody think they finna die of cholesterol when in fact without cholesterol it's impossible to live, because what makes your brain cells and your neurological functioning cells is cholesterol. What makes all your sexual chemistry is cholesterol. What protects your cells and creates your sexual membrane is cholesterol. What makes your lymphatic system and your mucosa membrane is cholesterol. Your brain feeds off cholesterol. Your fats need cholesterol. Cholesterol is very, very essential for melanin production. But now all of a sudden, normal cholesterol was at a 300. Now in that same 300, if you look at it on a comprehensive metabolic panel or what they call a lipid test, you see 300s, it's going to have a red arrow and that damn thing going to shoot off the paper. And you need to get in contact with your primary care right now so they can give you a statin drug. So it's interesting to see how the world is changing, man. But I thank God for brothers like me and a bunch of other healing brothers that know our biology, that know we different, and that's really, really very experts at this type of topic. And I can get your actual CBC or your comprehensive panel, and I can read it, and I can say, brother, this is what they say. I can't go against what they say, but from my research and from my knowledge and from my experiments, this is what I found.
All right, we have this culture where, well, I give thanks to anyone who was at least at the acquisition stage of information.
Mhm.
But there seems to be a disconnect between the acquisition of information and the application of
Mm.
information, right?
Yeah.
The acquisition of information I see is like, I almost call it a cult in a sense. It's like this whole culture where it's like cool and an ego thing just to acquire information for
Yeah.
the sake of doing it.
Yeah.
How does one get to the application of information?
So I'm gonna tell you how I got, because I was a person that was in the acquisition of information, retaining knowledge, purchasing knowledge, and not applying it. And I did it all for ego's sake, just to say I knew or to regurgitate, you know. And I did that a lot with Sabi. I did that a lot with my personal teacher, Dr. Layla Africa, Dr. Morris, with a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't changing my biology, and I was sad and I was depressed. Had all this knowledge, had the keys to the kingdom, but never put the key in the door and open it and walk through. So I noticed myself being a walking encyclopedia, but I wasn't happy until I started applying that information, because knowledge is not power. The application of knowledge creates wisdom, and wisdom is power. That should be the true saying. But until I started applying the knowledge, then I started changing, then I started feeling better. So I think how to get somebody to that point, I don't think we can. I think some people are made to be fakes and some people are made to do the true work. And that's what I think. I think some people are selected and here to be a distraction. And I think real workers, that's in us. It can't be taught. It can be initiated, it can be inspired, but it's always been in us. But me, I just looked up one day and I said, I want to know if this stuff is really true, because I'm speaking it. I speak it good. My recall is impeccable. I have some of the best recall in the world. You know what I'm saying? But I had recall, but I had no wisdom, because all the knowledge that I had within me, I never tested it. So I said, let me start testing this stuff And it broke my heart though. I'm not gonna lie, because the more and more I tested everybody who I learned from, their information was not correct. So it led me to believe that they was acquisitions of knowledge and not applicable, or not applicants of knowledge. They learned from a lot of other people and they never tried these things themselves, because when I went to the laboratory and tested these things, when I took these things and tested them on myself, when I stopped eating food for 120 days, when I went on an all juice fast, when I went 2 years frugivore, when I got a microscope and went to biology school and got my certification in biochemistry, and I did my own experiments, I noticed that my results was different than 99% of the people I learned from. So I said, dang, was they the same, acquiring knowledge and not really testing it? Because when I test this knowledge and I apply it, now my talk is totally different from what I used to regurgitate and speak from other teachers I learned from. And you can kind of tell who is doing the work and who not doing the work, because they sound like everybody else. But when you do your own experiment and you get in that laboratory yourself and you putting them cells on petri dishes and you pulling blood and you putting them under microscopes, you putting people on herbs and you tracking them from when they took the herbs and when they not, when you taking food from people and then putting other foods in them, you are putting people on mono diets, you putting people in hyperbaric chambers, you putting people on EMF post electrical magnetic beds, you putting people on these biological scans and you checking, you doing genetic tests, you sending this blood work off, and you getting lifetime feedback, but everything that you was taught and it's two totally different opposites information, what do you do with that? But tell the truth and get looked at like you hating on all your elders. Because that's what it looked like. It looked like you going against the ancient ones, you going against the teachers, you going against the master ones. And it's like, no, I was doing these things to further teach and solidify the teachings of those who became before me, only to find out that a lot of it was just dogma.
And I think too, man, as a black culture, that we're really I know people in general, but like we kind of get cultish with information.
No, but man, like you said, it's cult-like.
Yeah,
It's
and
cult-like.
we're not open to evolution, which is weird because it's always talking about this growth and growing, but like when someone does actually grow, someone
Yeah.
actually
Oh,
involved.
it gets talked down
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Spookism. But so my thing is, if you believe in your teacher that much, have enough faith and do the study yourself. Do the experiment yourself. You know what I'm saying? And then you have to come to realization, if it don't turn out the right way when you follow these person words, then obviously they were wrong. And there's nothing wrong with somebody being wrong as long as they willing to correct themselves. I've been wrong about something on a worldwide platform. I knew I was right, but I spoke too soon and I had to make a public apology to the whole world. That didn't feel good.
But can we say wrong, or could we say that's the information you knew at the time?
Well, I mean, the reason why I'm saying wrong is because it's wrong whenever you don't experiment. Whenever you don't experiment or experience is wrong. It is flat out wrong to regurgitate anybody's information that you haven't applied to yourself.
Can you say that again, please?
It is wrong to regurgitate anybody's information that you haven't applied yourself.
And one more time, people really.
It is wrong. It is super wrong. I think it's very irresponsible, especially if you have a big voice, to hear something, regurgitate it because it feels good and sound good, and leave out the actual experimental experience part. You cannot call yourself a healer. You cannot call yourself a scientist, because we prone ourselves on factual evidence. And the only way to get factual evidence is to get your ass in that laboratory over there. That's the only way to actually conduct the experiment. That's why when you read published articles, even though they're highly motivative, people paying billions of dollars for corporations paying billions of dollars to these colleges to persuade the results. Yet and still, I want to keep the fine part. It says results. At the end of every article,